Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. I'm Andy, your host and publisher of Metro Magazine. We've got two of some of my favorite interviews today. We're going to be taking a look at the interview I did with Mike Kelly and also with QLI's Patricia Kearns. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. I'm here with Patricia Kearns. She is the president and CEO of QLI. Patricia, thank you so much for joining me today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be here.
Yeah, and so you were one of our what we call our game changers, and this is a feature that we do in every issue that's a collaboration with Planet Omaha. We pick out amazing women in the community to highlight, not just for your kind of what you do with QLI in the business sense, but also just how you contribute back to the community. So,
well, thank you. You have featured so many amazing women.
Yeah.
It is really, again,
well,
it's such an honor
I don't
to
know.
be here.
It was a no-brainer. So let's just talk a little bit. I just want to talk a little about you, kind of your background and where you came from, and then we'll get into your role at QLI. So let's just talk about talk about your childhood, where you came from, and all that good stuff.
So I grew up in a really small town in western Nebraska, a rural part of Nebraska, a small town called Gordon.
Yeah.
Beautiful community, about 2,500 people, and in that day, it was one of the safest communities you could imagine. We'd leave our door unlocked at night, leave your car unlocked with your purse on the front seat. You know, you could be gone all day as a child riding your bike around town, and just really, really a great experience as a child growing up.
Yeah. So what through your educational career, because I want to kind of get to where you came to be at QLI. So just talk a little bit about, where you went to college and kind of how you find yourself at QLI.
You bet. Well, as much as I loved my small town,
Yeah.
I knew we were about a little bit in the middle of nowhere, and I did want to move on and explore a career and opportunity. So I ended up at Doane College for 3 years, and then ended up in a graduate program for physical therapy at the University of Nebraska Medical Center here in town. My experience along the way, I suppose growing up in my small town, the experience I had along the way at each of those college settings was a great preparation for me, both from a work ethic standpoint, the education I received, to I suppose get me to where I am today.
Right. So you came into the QLI family as a physical therapist?
I did.
And so how many years ago was that?
That was almost 18 years ago.
Okay.
And wow, I was a young and clueless physical therapist. So while I received an amazing education at the university here in town, I was only about 2 years out of school when I was lucky enough to receive a phone call and a job offer from Dr. Kim Hogeveen, our founding CEO. And well, I had been practicing orthopedics for a couple of years and really didn't know anything about brain injury or spinal cord injury rehabilitation. So I have no idea to this day how I got the job, but I was lucky enough to get hired. And I think going into that position, QLI is such a unique setting. We have such a unique culture, a healthy culture. I think it was really to my benefit that I had no idea what I was doing, because it positioned me to be open. I had the work ethic to learn, but not knowing positioned me to be open to learning, allowed me to rely on the amazing team members I had around me to teach me, to push me, to give me feedback, and to help me grow. And I value that.
So when you were hired into that position 18 years ago, did you aspire to be leading the company? I mean, what were your...
Absolutely not. Dr. Hogeveen will probably tell this story differently. He'll probably tell you that I always had my eye on the CEO role, but when I finished physical therapy school, I really, really enjoyed being a physical therapist. And my view of management at the time wasn't all that positive. It was the negative side of, handling things that were going wrong, sitting behind a desk. And my focus was really on helping people. And so after physical therapy school, I really had my mindset that I didn't want to have anything to do with a management type of position. And that was true when I went into QLI. I really didn't have any desire to do that.
Well, let's spend the next few minutes, 5 minutes, talking about QLI. And in a nutshell, what is QLI?
You bet. So we are a nationally recognized rehabilitation and long-term care facility focused on serving individuals who have a brain injury or spinal cord injury. I know you've been to campus, so I think on a day-to-day basis, and thank you for coming. On a day-to-day basis, I think I might describe it as a community of individuals who are there to bring the best out in each other. Our focus on the individuals we serve, the families we serve, but also our focus on our team members and on each other. How can we come together as a community to bring the best out in each other?
Because you're not only nationally recognized, but aren't you like one of the best places to work, not just in Omaha, but around the country? Or
You bet. Well, we've received the Best Place to Work award 7 times here in Omaha, as well as 2 Sustained Excellence awards. If you keep talking about it, I'll keep bragging about it. But we are really, really proud of the effort that we put into building and maintaining a healthy culture at QLI.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about your career path. Let's just talk a little bit more about QLI. I mean, one of the things I was reading, because we have this great article again on you in the October-November issue, there's mentorship. You talk a lot about mentorship and connecting with different nonprofits in the community with that.
So, absolutely. Well, I'm a product of mentoring myself.
Yeah.
I can remember back to junior high, the mentors I had in my teachers and coaches, and certainly at QLI, mentors Dr. Hogeveen, a number of other leaders at QLI who were willing to take time away from what they were doing to invest in my success. And since I've been in this role, I've had a number of female leaders from across the community that have been willing to support me. And I feel an obligation to pay that forward to other up-and-coming leaders, male or female, but in particular female leaders that are looking to develop their career. So I love mentoring. I'm a teammates mentor. We have almost 40 teammate mentors at QLI, mostly in the North Omaha area. We love the teammates organization. I have an 8th grader that I have the pleasure of spending time with once a week. She is lovely. I enjoy that process. We, as an organization, we do a lot of work with UNO. They've been such a terrific support to us, and we've had a chance to be part of their programs as well. Coach Lang, Brittany Lang, has done a phenomenal job of building a mentoring program for the UNO women's basketball team, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of that. So I have a chance to mentor one of the women's basketball players, and an amazing, she's a sophomore this year. The team's going to be fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited about it.
How exciting, because I know you're also a mother, you've got a family, and so balancing your QLI, your position there and really making a huge impact. You also have your family,
right?
Which is great. I want to talk a little bit about the expansion of the campus, because it does continue to grow, and I've seen that. I mean, I've been doing what I've been doing for 28 years. So we were just talking before we got on on film about the 20 years ago is when you did the
expanded our East Campus. So so we're celebrating overall our 28th anniversary this year of our doors opening on the rehab campus. We did a major expansion in 1998 and opened a long-term care campus, and we've added on to that a few times, and we're celebrating the 20th anniversary of that this month of our long-term care campus, which is exciting. But we have a bunch of dreamers at QLI, a bunch of dreamers and a bunch of doers, and there is an endless amount of new ideas about how we can improve our services. We can add on to what we're doing to serve this really complex population of individuals, new opportunities that align with our strengths as an organization, and so lots of new ideas that are constantly in the funnel for us, and people who are willing to put forth the effort to make some of those ideas a reality. So we have an endless amount of things, I think, coming up for our future.
So a couple other things before we end. You have like, this is a transitional space for a lot of people, that they come there and they're there for, I mean, not that long, maybe 90 days.
Yeah, about 3 months, 3.5 months on our rehab program.
And then you've got some people that are there for the most part for the rest of their life. Just talk a little bit about that and how, kind of the percent, how many people that are just there for 3 months, how many,
You bet. So on our rehab campus, we have 60 beds, and we are serving almost 200 individuals and their families from across the country who come to us anywhere from 30 days to about 9 months. Our average length of stay about 3 months. But our focus is on helping those individuals recover physically, cognitively, emotionally, and helping the individuals and their family address the social barriers they may be facing in order to get back to life. On our long-term care campus, we're serving almost 125 individuals, young adults who have suffered a severe brain injury or a high spinal cord injury, And while their life has been turned upside down by this injury, we've been able to provide a space where individuals really can be as independent, as healthy as they possibly can be, but most importantly, they can engage in life and find a way to be happy again.
Yeah. So last question.
Okay.
What are you most excited about?
Well, home, Halloween, my favorite holiday.
Right.
My 5-year-old just can't wait. She candy, costumes, it's perfect. At QLI, we have a lot of really exciting things coming up. We just launched a new telerehabilitation business this month. I'm excited to get that going and see it grow. And celebrating our 20th anniversary at QLI is exciting as well. But we're facing a lot of challenges as an organization right now, Medicaid funding and other things. But I think with those challenges, there's always opportunity. There's opportunity to get better and grow, and that's what our team's focused on.
So people can learn more about QLI at website?
TeamQLI.com.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
I just want to say their profile is in our annual giving guide, so check that out as well to find out ways to give back. And we will be right back. Welcome back. I am here with the amazing Mike Kelly, retired Omaha World Herald columnist. Mike, thanks for being on the show with me.
Thank you for having me. This is great, Andy.
I'm excited about this interview, and we also have a great story coming out in our December issue on you. But I'm excited just to sit down and talk to you because I don't know a lot of the answers to these questions that I'm going to ask, so I'm going to be learning some things. How did you happen to come to Omaha?
I met a gal. She'd grown up in Omaha, moved to Cincinnati, my hometown. Through her, I met some friends. When I was in college, I took a spring break of any college student's dream, Omaha. It was great. We had a wonderful week, and when I graduated, I thought, well, I'll apply for a job there. Thought Omaha might be a nice place to go for 2 or 3 years.
Sure.
Stayed, and no regrets. I've loved it here.
Oh my goodness. So how long has that been?
48 years.
48 years. Okay. And like you said, you stayed. Why did you stay? It's just a great community.
Yeah, I had opportunities to go elsewhere, but I had a succession of interesting jobs. Starting out when your father was a World Herald reporter, and he was one of my mentors, really, in the beginning. And so I did, covered cops, courts, city hall, a lot of other things. And then sports dropped out of the sky on me one day. I was not seeking to go there, but they made me sports editor and sports columnist. That was a very interesting decade.
And tell me the decade. Was that the 60s?
81 to 91.
81, okay.
And so I was replaced. The tough part was sports editor and columnist. And they split that back into 2 jobs when I left.
Right.
And then since then, I've written this general interest column that I've just loved doing.
So I want to go back and just talk about my dad, Bob Hoig. Any good stories about him or interactions or?
Oh my gosh. I was very young, and he was a veteran reporter, and of course started Midland's Business Journal and done
75,
wonderful with that. But we had to do a story about it was about prostitution in Omaha. And, and anyway, we went down to this old seedy hotel in South Omaha, and he walked in, and we were of course not identifying ourselves as reporters, and asked, where to get girls or whatever. I was very embarrassed. I didn't. Anyway, what he wrote was so funny and opened my eyes a little bit. It said when he asked this question, he said she could not have looked more amazed if I had asked to see the originals of the Dead Sea Scrolls. And I thought, you can just write that? That's cool.
So you kind of learned a little bit about writing style and what you can, put yourself out there. So like you said, you were a sports editor and sports columnist. That just kind of fell into your lap, and then you switched back to news and have written this great column. I'm going to ask for a few stories about your years writing the column, but I want to ask you, how do you think newspapers have changed?
Totally. The revenue is the problem. We didn't realize how good we had it. I didn't. from a revenue standpoint. There was a time when if you were going to advertise, you pretty much had to go to the newspaper if you wanted to get it out. As we know today, there are many different ways to advertise. So the problem is not that newspapers aren't good quality. I think ours is excellent, but the revenue isn't there. So we don't have as many people. The push is more towards digital. I don't know, people are guessing how long are we going to still have print newspapers. I'm told that 80% of our revenue, believe it or not, still comes from print edition. But we can see what the trends are because like every other newspaper, the print editions are, subscriptions are dropping.
Well, and I also feel like that we can get, or the person, I mean, we and people can get their news from the television, from online sites. I mean, there's just all these different avenues to get news. I mean, not so much local, but there still are other ways to get
what you don't necessarily get is a newspaper's main function is that of watchdog of the government. We have had some wonderful investigative pieces in recent years. Before that, your newspaper ties the community together. You get to know people, especially some of the columns like Matthew Hansen, Aaron Grace, Tom Chattel, and sports. So a newspaper is still very vital to a community, in my opinion.
So memorable news columns. So we've got a little time to talk about some memorable news columns.
Well, so many. I wrote about a fellow who was my age, born the day before me, which meant his draft lottery number was number 7. Mine was 264. He ends up dying in Vietnam. Years later, in the early 90s, for Memorial Day, I went back and interviewed his family and friends.
Wow.
That story got picked up around the country and really touched a lot of people.
Yeah.
I have to say, stories about my daughter Bridget really gotten the most reaction of all. And for people who don't know, she survived a horrible attack. She was abducted, raped, and shot and left for dead.
I remember that.
She survived it. Spoke out on behalf of survivors of sexual violence. Her story got out nationally. She did lots of interviews, including ABC 2020, and she ends up marrying the producer, Eric Strauss, and they now have 2 little boys and live in New York. So
yeah, wonderful. I mean, and I just admire her so much for taking such a traumatic event and turning it around and doing good with it, because a lot of times you can just close up and...
She became a volunteer advocate in New York City emergency rooms, went through training, and she'd be on call and could be assigned to any ER.
Yeah, God bless her. And she's speaking at the Omaha Town Hall speaker?
Yeah, March 27th. She's the Town Hall speaker, so that'll be great.
Yeah. So you're not only a newspaper columnist, you are an MC, you are a singer, you are a speaker. Let's talk a little bit about that.
That's been great to feel even more part of the community for me. I mean, just being a newspaper writer gets you involved in the community. But to be able to do a lot of charity events like you cover, and in more recent years, singing. I used to sing in Omaha Press Club shows.
I remember that.
Making fun of public figures.
Right.
But in the last 5 or 6 years, I've actually taken jazz singing lessons and now one-on-one lessons with Anne Marie Kenny, Susie Thorne previously.
Yep.
And so I've been doing more singing around town. That's been fun.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Omaha's volunteerism and charitable spirit. I mean, I know you're involved in a lot of those types of events as well. There's so many.
I just think if all the people who just stop if they stop volunteering, what would happen to this community? It would just shut down. I'm always touched by that and how broadly based it is in so many different things. I mean, just look at your magazine and see. It's amazing how you carved out that niche to cover all these events. The newspaper has had a section where we covered them, but it's just a part of the heartbeat of our community.
And there's so many of them, and there's so many people that are impacted by those fundraising events. So let's talk about, branching out into singing. You touched on that a little bit. I know you had a big 70th birthday bash.
Oh my gosh. Anne Marie, my vocal coach, said, I'd say you should put on a show. Why would I do that? Okay, I'm turning 70. So a boy turns 70 only once.
Well, of course.
And so we had about 300 people there, 7-piece band. It was fun and funny. A little bit, part of it was like the Press Club show. Others were very poignant and touching too.
Yeah.
Steve Jordan, my buddy who retired same day as me, we did the News Brothers, not the
Oh my God,
not
I
the
love
Blues
that.
Brothers, but the News Brothers.
The News Brothers. How fun that would have been to see. So we've just got a couple minutes left. You've got a book here in front of you.
Oh.
Let's talk about the book.
Thank you for mentioning this.
Well, you're welcome.
This is a book I wrote originally 3 years ago called Uniquely Omaha. And it's a beautiful coffee table book, lots of photos
that is beautiful.
from the World Herald, and I did all the copy on it. And I'm happy to say it sold out its first printing.
Wow.
I used to do a joke, I'd say my book is now in its fourth printing. The first three were blurry. They weren't, but we sold out the first 5,000, and now we've reprinted and we've updated. We've gone through and updated everything.
Because a few things have changed throughout the course of you writing it the first time.
Yeah.
So what's next for you?
Well, I hope to keep singing. My family also lives in Cincinnati, so I'm going to be moving there, but also coming back to Omaha a lot every month, I think. So.
Yeah. What are you going to miss the most about Omaha?
Oh my gosh, well, I'm going to miss writing and just, I guess, getting, the contact that you have with people, whether it's through my columns or, being out speaking, emceeing, singing.
Yeah.
So I want to keep some of that going. So that's why I'm going to keep coming back. I love this community.
You need to start a Mike Kelly blog where people can stay up to date on your life and
I should do that. I'll look into that.
See what's going on. So, any final words before we?
Luckiest thing happened to me was coming to Omaha.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, I had opportunities elsewhere, and boy, no regrets about staying.
Well, I've certainly appreciated the stories that you've shared, both on very serious notes and also on very lighthearted notes. They've been, I think people have truly that's been a bright spot in their day for so many years, and you are definitely going to be missed.
Oh, thank you so much.
But think about that blog.
I will.
Okay.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you so much for coming, and we will be right back.
On the first day of January, 1892, they opened Ellis Island, and they let the people through. And the first to cross the threshold of that Isle of Hope and Tears was Annie Moore from Ireland, who was all of 15 years. Isle of Hope, Isle of Tears, Isle of freedom, Isle of fear, but it's not the Isle you left behind. That Isle of hunger, Isle of pain, Isle you'll never see again, but the Isle of home is always on your mind.
Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. Hard to believe this is the 26th show that we've done. Started back in July, and it's just been so much fun to interview so many amazing people in our community, nonprofits, change makers, leaders. Just it's really, really been a wonderful time and having you join me each week. So I'm looking forward to the upcoming year, and as you do look forward to the upcoming year, I just want to give you some words of wisdom, words that I live by, that I remind myself of, is as you look at the new year, focus on what you want this year. Don't focus on what you don't want. Focus on what you want. I believe God, the universe, tends to open up this beautiful path that we're walking on when you really focus on what do I want in life, what I want to do, how do I want to feel, versus what I don't want, how I don't want to feel. Looking at what you want in life and what you want for your families, what you want in your career, what you want for yourself personally, that is a gift to everybody that you come into contact with as you make this journey, this interesting, fun, adventurous journey through life. So I'm looking forward to spending each week with you in 2019. And we're going to end with a few photos from some of the guests that have been on the show. So thanks again, and again, happy New Year.